Guess what today is? It's day 5 of COVID lockdown day. It's exciting. You know what that means. That means today I get to go out in public and then have people give me mean looks. Yep, that's the rule. Some of you might not think that because I have a lot of doctors that follow me. Lots. They're not really doctors. They're just like me. They've seen a lot of episodes of Grey's Anatomy. It's amazing how people are so critical on the internet. I almost wish you had to and of course, the first thing I do when somebody writes something negative, I go look at their profile. And I promise you, I do have a PhD in research. I'd like to do a research study on how many of the people have cats in their profile picture. It's somewhat bizarre. Oh, look, my subscribers have been waiting for coffee chat. I thought I'd do a big video first because there were some important things that I wanted to go over. Yeah, I had a woman this morning. I was going through my notifications. Her name is Barbara. And Barbara said, this is her comment. You open a video yelling at your son? My son Russell, who's 15 and hasn't washed a dish in 4 days. Yes, I opened a video yelling at him. So I go to her profile picture, because that's what I do. And meow, I see a cat. And then she has a quote. I love a quote on Facebook. Almost like, how you would have a yearbook quote. Mine was like something from the Violent Films or the Beastie Boys or something. And here's her quote. Barbara, thank you for this. Our thoughts are the architects of our destiny. It's a little deep for somebody that has COVID brain. And I like cats. If anybody wants to know, I have 2 of them. So I woke up this morning and I went to bed thinking about the same thing. Yesterday we talked about this mother from the Bahamas, and we're going to talk a little bit about her today. But I woke up, has anybody heard of the young man? He's 16 and he missed his flight in Chicago. His name is Thudens, I think that's how you say it. Thudens Goldman. Has anybody read about this? Because I have. So it's been on all the major news outlets. I'm going to put the subscriber link up for you. It's been on all the major news outlets. I mean, it's interesting. But everything you read is like Thudens Goldman on Monday missed his flight out of Chicago. He had on a gray Adidas sweatshirt, black Nike Pants, African-American 16-year-old. Maybe I'm the only one that heard it. Well, anyway, I look up his name on the internet. Then I look up his name on the Facebook. I don't see anything about it. It's under all these major news outlets. It's so strange. So I'm thinking what do I have? I have a 17-year-old, a boy that will be 16 in about 2 weeks, and then I have a 14-year-old. And so I'm into this teenage thing. My children fly by themselves. My son Thomas is flying from Paris to Cincinnati, Pittsburgh on Friday. And I was thinking about myself, if Thomas was supposed to get on his flight in, I don't know, New York to Pittsburgh and he didn't show up, I would be frantic, right? I'm going to the airport in Pittsburgh Friday night at 10 to pick up my firstborn, beloved teenage son, myself. So I was like, I should share this. Well, I always go to the families page. So I go, well, you can't find the family. I have never seen a missing person That there was no mention of family, no mention of where they're from, no mention of nothing to but nothing to nothing. Well, there goes my hour this morning. I promise you, I'm not a PI, but you might as well call me like, was it Inspector Gadget? Who was the Pink Panther? I'm channeling my Pink Panther. So I find Thudens Goldman, and I think this is okay to share because he's missing and it's on the major news outlets. So I think people are more interested in trying to find somebody if they know a little bit. He's from Traverse City, Michigan. He is the grandson of Philip Goldman, who was the national marketing director for Arby's and had a bunch of kids. And Thudens has a mom and dad, Mark and Spring Goldman. And she sells Arbonne. She does all sorts of stuff. They have 4 kids. They had 2 children, and then they adopted 2 children who are both African American. So this is their 3rd child. And I went on their Facebook pages, which are public, so it's not like I can't see things. And they're not sharing anything about him being missing. The aunt and uncle aren't sharing anything about him being missing. The siblings are on TikTok. They're not sharing anything about him being missing. So then at that point, I guess this whole missing thing with this, what's her name, pretending that she saw the baby. And now this child hasn't said, I'm missing, but he's clearly missing and it's being shared. Is he missing? You couldn't actually, do we need to share that he's missing if the family's not sharing that he's missing? Because if little Thomas were missing, you would be like little Thomas in blogger mother, attorney father, family looking for him. A young man named Thudens Goldman didn't get on his plane in Chicago on Monday. And it's in CBS, NBC, all these major news outlets have him as missing. But the family is not sharing. He might be being held for ransom. I think that's a stretch. I don't know who reported him missing. I'm assuming his family. Who else would report you missing? I mean, nobody would know little Thomas was missing unless I told somebody. No, they go on Facebook. They've been posting. Oh, trust me, Kate. I mean, I've got a master's degree in this case. Yeah, it's all over the news. The family hadn't come out with a statement. They hadn't put up a post on Facebook. They ain't done nothing about nothing. So Thudens Goldman, I hope you end up back at home. And the Thudens Goldman family, I just found this whole thing nuts. We need to have stories when people are missing. They need to legitimately be missing. Maybe the family is afraid he has ran away. He was probably murdered by someone in the family. Hoax, does he even exist? These are some real committed hypotheses. That is the dumbest bunch of math. Y'all are nuts. Yeah, I don't know. And if you go missing in an airport, I mean, you want to talk about where there are video cameras? They probably video you throwing away your bubble gum, like in the airport. The family might not be sharing to avoid scammers contacting them. Well, but that's not what all the other families do when they have missing children. So I don't think this family is somehow like the smartest. I mean, I just do what John Walsh says to do. And John Walsh says you need to be out on camera. Anyway, Thudens Goldman, Thoudens, Goldman, age 16, from Traverse City, Michigan, which that wasn't even shared on the news. All you heard was he was 16, missing from the airport. He's from Traverse City, Michigan. He's one of 4 kids. His parents are Mark and Spring Goldman, and there you have it. I sent them messages, FYI. Now, in other news, the Bahamas. The Bahamas. So we have a mother from the Bahamas. Well, she's from Thomasville, Georgia. And she is sitting her fanny in prison. But as of this morning, she is out on bail or bond or whatever it is. Yep. She's not due back in court until October. Out on bail. Now, Lindsay Shiver. Talked a good bit about her yesterday. Lindsay Shiver, mother of 3 children, went to Auburn University, met her husband there who played football. They met in an exercise class. They've been married 12 years. They kind of document this holier than thou existence on Instagram and Facebook, where they like play games in the yard and people want to like kick them in the teeth. Oh, yes, Patsy. We'll talk about that in a minute. And she was arrested because totally different case. There was a robbery, a burglar, and they got a hold of a phone, and the phone had this elaborate plot of planning to kill her husband with this guy that's evidently her boyfriend, paramour, Terrence Adrian Bethel. And they were in Abaco, then they flew him to Nassau, and now she's out on bail this morning. So her husband had filed for divorce in April because of, quote, adulterous conduct. And then the next day, she did her own filing, and she said, there's acts of domestic violence. So my husband is a criminal defense attorney. In fact, did you say who posted her bail? No, I don't know. And he says you would be amazed how often women talk about this. They claim abuse and divorce to like get custody. Like people will go to extremes. And right after this, we're going to talk about a really terrible thing that happened right near me regarding custody. So it does happen. It really does happen, domestic violence. But it also is used as a little bit of a scam whenever there's a divorce. And it drives my husband crazy, I think, because he's a good husband and dad and is like, that's like the worst thing you could do is to accuse somebody of hurting you or your children. To me, that's pretty bad. And anyway, but one of her family members commented on my video last night and said, here's a quote, her family is very sad. Okay, I get that you are sad that she has been arrested for killing her husband, but let me tell you what you should be feeling. Number one, you should be feeling thankful that she was caught before he was killed. One, because he's still alive, and two, because her butt is going to go to jail for a long time. She's going to go to jail for a long time anyway if she's guilty. This is not about you. Her family is sad. I would be like, her family is sorry that she is entitled and pissed that he took away the jet from her. How's she going to get to Vail? She's going to have to fly commercial. And then the husband said, I'm not giving her any alimony. She had an affair. I'm telling you what, if you have an affair, you're going to get fed to the wolves. I mean, seriously, I'm just not into that. It's one thing if you want to get divorced. But if you have an affair, no. 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 So she said, well, I had the affair with his permission and knowledge. What are you talking about, Willis? I'd like to know one couple who wants their spouse to have an affair. And we didn't really get into this yesterday, and it's probably not the time to get into it today. But wait, what is somebody asking me? When you met Thomas, did you know this was going to be his profession? His profession? Thomas being a criminal defense attorney? Yeah. The real question is, did Thomas know that this was going to be my profession? And that would be a no. Thank goodness, because he probably wouldn't have married me. The affair thing just is a real puzzler for me. She had 3 small children. I have 4. That's not an affair. It's an open marriage. That is like you're speaking Mandarin Chinese to me. La, 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 la. I do not understand these kinds of comments. I do not understand how you have an affair. If you're young, you could get pregnant. I mean, that'd be a mess. And if you're old like me, I mean, what if you got some other thing? And then I guess you would make sure you looked good. That would be a benefit. I mean, I could not get into all that. I mean, look here. I have a snake in my bed. That's the only thing you're going to see in my bed. It's a snake. No paramour. Some remotes. Over there is a rollaway bed that Amos is supposed to be sleeping in. Over here we have a Sprite from McDonald's. We have some notes. We've got some, this is what I keep, Heel-tastic, my bedside table. What's this? Oh, look, a pulse ox. That's how you take your pulse. I never even used that thing. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, I'm dying. Is that what it is? I don't know what the hell. What is this thing? Wait. 9.7. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Yeah, that rollaway's real good. You get it at Rose's. How is Amos doing this morning? He's good. Anyway. What else? What else is happening in here? Nothing. Some shoes, toothpaste, earpods, shampoo, dog brush, flip-flop, a razor. I just like to look at the random crap in this house. Oh. Yeah, ain't nobody having any affair, I can tell you that. You're not happy if you're having an affair. That's clean laundry. That someone named Adrian is about to fold. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling? I'm better. So anyway, I just don't get that. But she's out on bail. When do you all start school? August 28th-ish? That is a long time away, and I have a lot to do before then. Today we have cousins from England coming. Swipe the crumbs out of the bed first. I vacuum the bed sometimes. I'm going to change the sheets on today. Your husband would be missing a body part. Well, so have you heard about this woman named... I hate to even go into this because it is deep and dark. I have somebody that helps me in the house, but I haven't had her here because I don't want her to get COVID. Taylor Shabusiness. Mind your own business. How about shabusiness? One, if you change your name to shabusiness, you got problems. So Taylor Shabusiness, I don't even know. It is a horrible, 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 horrible something. Taylor Shabusiness decapitated her boyfriend. She was married with a baby and cut off his winky and left him in a bucket. And his mother found them. I mean, I can't even get into it more than that. And she said she was in a meth rage. Okay. Well, I tell you what, why anybody does meth is beyond me. But like, I don't think that was any meth rage. She was demented. She going to jail. And then these people have children. She got problems. Yeah. Taylor Shabusiness. SCHA business. Can you imagine being her mother? Yeah, she was found guilty. Yeah, I mean, I think she was found guilty in like 9 minutes. It was basically like North Korean justice. She went to jail, went to court, and they were like, yeah. She's talking about how she cut his head off with a butter knife and his wiener. And then the jury's like, yeah, she's guilty. Goodbye. She adored Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, thanks. My glasses are from Eye Care, aren't these? Yep, Eye Care of Edenton. You can always call and say, I like Adrian's glasses. She put the torso in the van in a crock pot box. The dad's in jail. I know, he's in jail for distributing methamphetamines. Was the man passed out? I don't think so. They were doing some kind of thing. There are these people that have, now see, we're talking about affairs again. There are these people that have these affairs, or they have sex, and they use like chains and handcuffs. These people are not kin to me. I mean, that sounds like a horrible idea. All that kink? Ugh, yeah. I mean, it's just going to take you down a bad, bad path. I mean, if you're getting into chains and handcuffs, you need to be folding laundry. Yeah. Because that just means you have too much time on your hands. I mean, it's so dark. Like, go exercise or, like, do Tai Bo or something. What are you rambling about this time? Sandra Claiborne Fry. Well, I'll tell you what, Sandra. You've been suspended for 15 minutes. Anyway, the last story, which is just sad to me, not funny, sad, is a woman named Gwen Riddick, and she is from Gates County, which is where my husband practices law. It's about 35 minutes north of where I live. Pretty small community. Gwen Riddick, African-American, was an OBGYN at UNC Women's Health of Eden, mother of a 3-year-old son, and on Sunday, she went to ECU undergrad. Her brother went to NC State. On Sunday, she met her ex with her 3-year-old son, and he murdered her, John Michael Powell. Killed her. He lives in Newport News and just left. And I thought to myself, so now this 3-year-old doesn't have a mother or father, and what is that? Somebody's blowing. This guy's going to go to jail forever. And then Dr. Riddick, who is an OBGYN, and let's be honest, in a small town in North Carolina, to have an African-American female rural, it's pretty awesome. to have her, and think of how many patients she connected with. I mean, I've never had a female OBGYN, much less to have an African-American female OBGYN in a small town in North Carolina. Like, what an asset to our state. And then just to have her, you know, it seemed like she thought she was doing everything right. She met him in a very public park, and he killed her. I know. So anyway, just lots of love to her family today, because that is, Gatesville is a tiny town, and, you know, when you're from a small town and you have people are root and cheer for each other, you know. I love the color of your hair. Ooh, it just got done. Hi, Adrian. People are getting so mean to you. Are you sure you want this life? I'm afraid to comment because I'm afraid I'll say something you don't like and your followers will jump on me. Well, Betty, dear Betty, I don't think anybody ever says anything wrong by accident and gets called out by my followers. Now, we are a bit in tune to passive aggressiveness. Like, I guess you're not on your diet anymore, which means your fat is fatsy, capatsy. Or you should quit licking your fingers. I mean, I think the best bet on the internet is just to talk to people the same way you would talk to them if you met them in the line at Bed Bath & Beyond. Oh, Andrea, she delivered my grandson. Does it bother you when your husband defends a murder? So my husband does not do murder cases. So it's never come up. My husband doesn't do any appointed work. He does all hire work, and typically murder cases where we live are always appointed cases where the state is paying for the defense. My husband is real choosy in the cases he takes. We're not a lot alike, but we're enough alike that he likes the underdog. And so when he has a case, he typically thinks the person is innocent, or that's not the whole story. He does have an attempted murder case recently, and we've talked about it. I mean, it's been all over the news, but we don't think the person is guilty. I mean, I don't think they're guilty either. So I can't imagine, I mean, that's similar to what we do in that way, is that we both want the right thing to happen for the right people, you know? Anyway. I just need to have a Q&A hour. I've decided I'm going to have a weekly troll conversation, and I'm going to let all the trolls know I'm available to answer questions. And then they can come on and say stuff. Wouldn't that be kind of fun? Who's going to take care of Honor while we're in Pittsburgh? She is going to stay with Amos and our nanny. Heather. Oh, Heather. Why do you get off on talking about murderers and sensationalist trashing your news? Your videos are on the dark side, and your tone has taken on a mean side lately. You're better than that. Heather, your name seems so familiar because I feel like you like to criticize me. Now, Heather's comment is an example of somebody that might get pushed back from my subscribers. I can talk about whatever I want. I could sit in here and talk about my toenails, and you don't have to listen. It's like a very amazing game. My mother-in-law calls the Intranet. She swears she didn't say that, but she did. Yeah, I mean, I have a niche, and I think my niche is regular person talking about whatever happens. Like, I don't just talk about autism. I don't just talk about education. I don't just talk about autoimmune disease. I don't just talk about needing to exercise, because there are lots of bloggers that have one little niche. And there's a bunch that have this, they just complain about motherhood. And typically they have like 2 children. And then the ones with like 11 children never complain. They're like, I love this. I love this. This is wonderful. But the ones with 2 are like, this is terrible. I didn't think I was going to make it out of Disney. I just talk about whatever I feel like talking about. It might be business. It might be Bahamas. It might be shautism. It might be Shakshinda. Is it normal to be able to log into Facebook to subscribe? You're logged in to be able to watch this. Yes, you just have to click the link if you want to subscribe. Ladies, come on. Adrian's show. We're not sitting back. Yeah, you could be watching Hoda and Jenna. Now, I do like Hoda and Jenna. You're a conversationalist. So Lisa, you know, you're a subscriber. So my subscriber page is more of a banter back and forth. Typically on this page, I just talk straight. But today I'm feeling free. Me at the beach last week with my 2-year-old and 6-year-old. You're doing a lot of complaining. I think the kids don't want to talk about with the 10 kids, because if they complain, then you know what everybody's going to say. Well, it's your fault. You had 10 kids. So they can't complain. It's terrible. It'd be awful. Dateline stories. I do too. My husband thinks that I'm like going to put succinylcholine in his smoothie. But I mean, I'm not dumb enough to do that. They would catch me. You can't even look up stuff on your phone just in case somebody dies that you know. It'd be bad. Like, I've looked up succinylcholine. It's probably going to come back to haunt me someday. She'll fill in the blank. I know, David. I don't know if your subscriber thing is showing. Yeah, it's Wednesday. And Adrian's going to do the laundry. And she's going to do a subscriber video while she folds laundry. And we're going to solve the world's problems. And Amos is going to the spool with a babysitter, which is great. Oh, thank goodness. Lord, we've been in this house together for 4 or 5 days. If I subscribe, is it okay to stay silent? Yes, you don't ever have to talk. I think you like to subscribe if you just want. I do a video every day, and I usually let you know when it's going to be. And it's a lot of times my family, like my older kids or my husband comes on, or Amos. I don't typically have everybody on in these big videos. It's just me. There's my shitter. Okay, see y'all in a minute.